Hey guys, this is Bella. I'm going to do a quick book review on this book called The Long Tail. This is by Chris Anderson. He was a economist and he worked for Wired magazine. And so the whole context of this book was based on an article he wrote called The Long Tail, where the basis of business is turning into instead of selling a hit product, the future of business is going to be selling less of more. So reading this book came out in 2006, and I was reading it in the car today, and I was, I'll be honest, I skim through things. I don't read the whole thing because a lot of people who reviewed this book said the meat of it is, could be much more concise, which is the thing with most books today. And we're just living in an environment where we don't have time to consume a whole book like this anymore. We need the content out of it, not all the little side information. That's more for entertainment purposes. So, and I also discovered Medium this week, which I know I'm like really late to the game, but I found an article, and it was like a 4-minute read, and it was a summary of all of this, and I was like, wow. But anyways, this is my version of that. So like, the main thing that I can come up with from this is that consumers want hyper-specific content, and I can relate that to Merch by Amazon because all these shirts that we're making, they're super specific, and I made one today about like a midwife or something, and my aunt was like, who is gonna wear that? And I'm like, well, a midwife and all her midwife friends, obviously, like, it's, so consumers have changed the way that they purchase things. So back in the day, if you wanted a shirt, you had to go to a store, and that was, the choices that you had. You went to a local store near you, and then you had to choose from what was on the rack. But now consumers don't have to do that. They have like essentially infinite choices of content to consume, content to purchase, and so now all these bottlenecks that we had in the past of things like the cost to start a business are going away. So think about, like, okay, if I wanted to start a t-shirt business, even 10 years ago, I would have to get a design made, I would have to print up the shirts, I would have to find somewhere to let me sell them, or I'd have to make my own website, I'd have to fulfill the orders. It'd just be this huge ordeal that it would, wouldn't even be worth my time and money invested. So the bottlenecks are going away, and one way is that Amazon has created a beast of a website. And so I was reading in this book, and it was talking about Sears and Roebuck started out as a watch company, and this guy started selling them in a magazine that he was putting out to farmers who were being overcharged by other watch companies that were local, because the farmers, it cost too much money for them to go somewhere and buy it, so they had to buy it where they were from. And he figures out how to ship farmers these watches, and that's basically how Sears and Roebuck evolved into this massive company. And so Amazon is essentially the Sears and Roebuck of our generation. So think of it like they started out as a bookseller, and now they sell everything under the sun. And I imagine that in the future, they're going to be selling everything from food to pharmaceuticals. And the thing is, who could have predicted that when it started as a book company? Really nobody. That's just how fast things change. And the fact that this book was written in 2006, you can see a lot that has changed even since then. He keeps bringing up Netflix, which is kind of funny to look back on that and think about it. And he also brought up Google, and Rhapsody, I think, was one of them. I don't even think anyone really uses that anymore. But basically, like, why is the future of business selling less of, or selling more of less products? Basically what that means is that people have infinite choices now. So what are we going to give them? Like, you can't give them 3 choices. They want 300 choices, which is why on Merch by Amazon you have so many slots available. Amazon knows that out of all the content that's being produced, only a fraction of it's going to be good, and only a smaller fraction of that is going to be good enough for someone to spend their money on. So this is where that 90-day rule comes into play, where if the shirt has not sold in 90 days, Amazon's just going to take it down, because all that's doing is it's cluttering up their front page of their retail space. Because, I mean, think about it. Like, before you had to pay for shelf space. You don't have to pay for that anymore. There's no physical shirts. There's no cost of making the shirts before you make the shirt. I mean, it's just crazy how much things have changed. So the cost has been reduced. And also we have a way to connect the supply and demand. So in the past, not everyone had a laptop. So even if you were a seller of shirts online, then everyone couldn't necessarily purchase it. I mean, because people were going to the library to use their computers up until a couple of years ago. Now it seems like everybody has one of these, or everybody has a laptop computer or something similar. So I guess this book, the basis of it is that instead of trying to create a hit, like, we should be focused on creating more, because, and it seems to me like my YouTube videos, like, everyone who watches them, you know, I'll get a few hits on them, but, like, really the thing about YouTube is that people want to consume that content. So it's just food for thought. I don't know if it's just rambling or not, but this book is really, I guess the concept of the book is really interesting. The book itself is, I don't want to say it's garbage, but it's very monotonous and a lot of charts and graphs that are totally unnecessary, and I think it probably could be summarized, basically the whole concept is that we no longer have to create blockbusters anymore. We can just create lots of good content. We don't have to focus on creating one really good thing anymore because their bottlenecks are gone. We don't have to focus all of our energy into that. So my takeaways from this are really going to be like to use that and use that knowledge that I got from that when I'm making designs and when I'm creating stuff or when I'm working on personal projects, because people just aren't consuming the way that they used to. Even, you know, even with FBA, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't realize people bought online. Like, I mean, even so much as like filters for the air conditioner, filters for the refrigerator. Like, you just think like going to Lowe's would be something that someone would do. No, now they're gonna go on Amazon.com and type that in. I just sold some filters for $29.99 that I got for $2. So just kind of figure out what you want to create, and don't worry so much about making it amazing. Don't worry so much about making it the best seller or the best hit. Just make sure that it's valuable and make sure that the content that you're producing matters to someone. It doesn't have to matter to everyone. That's not what you want to do. You just want to create something that has value to a group of people or a small subset of people. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my little rant and my little book review. If you guys like these, I'll keep doing them because I usually try to read about a business book a week or two. So yeah, thanks for watching.